So when the emergency was declared, I was studying in JNU, and I had finished my MA in '74, and I was registered for my MPhil and PhD. I was also at that time the secretary of the Students Federation of India JNU branch. So, and right after the emergency, everybody was stunned, and because nobody had expected this kind of a thing to happen. And in the initial phase, arrests began of the political opponents of the Congress and so on and so forth. And at that time, and even some time before the declaration of the emergency, the attack on democratic rights had been going on. So especially it was focused in Bengal and constantly. And the technology they had developed was that any political opponent, they would declare them a Naxalite, arrest them, and then they will transport them from one place to another and release them and say, Bhago. And while they were running away, they would be shot in the back. So that's how a large number of political activists, especially of the CPIM and the trade union activists of CITU and Kisan Sabha and SFI, they were killed. So in this period between 71 to 77, 1,500 workers of the CPIM.
So it mainly happened in Bengal? And
primarily in Bengal. Primarily in Bengal. So this was the background that was happening, and then when the emergency was declared, it began to happen all over the country. It happened in Andhra, it happened in Karnataka, in Kerala, and other places. There were also those who were part of the Navnirman thing in Gujarat, and those who were part of the JP's movement, which started in Tihar. Many of them were also arrested. So this was the background, and we knew that there are quite a few police informers, actually the employees of the police and intelligence department, who were admitted in JNU as students.
Okay.
And towards the end of the emergency, we found out that there were 22 such informants of the Delhi, of the intelligence department, who were studying in JNU, so-called study, but they were, and we were able to identify 6 or 7 of them. And we told them that we know who you are, what your game is, but continue doing your work, but don't think that we don't know. Some of them became friendly with us because we were in the same university, we were in the same hostels, we met for meals and so on and so forth, at lunch pay, dinner pay, breakfast pay, we would meet them. So a couple of them told us that JNU is going to be raided. And they told us that it will happen between the 6th, 7th or 8th. It can happen any day. So we made our own preparations. We had our own idea who were the people who would be arrested. Those who were active in the students' union, in students' politics, opposed to the Congress regime and so on and so forth. So nothing happened on the 6th and 7th, but on the 8th, the raid happened. 8th of July. And this is within 15 days of the declaration of the emergency. So the emergency actually came home to us on the 8th of July. And we learned that the operation started around midnight. And I don't know how the intelligence information network works, because the intelligence information was that there is going to be a pitched battle in JNU, and that students of JNU have collected weapons and arms, and there is going to be pitched battle or armed struggle hoga. So there could have been 30, 40 trucks of paramilitary organizations, maybe more. And they entered from the north gate of the university, and they came and they began through the night. They parked, and some people say there were 1,500 people who were involved. Some say of the paramilitary and police. Some say there were 500. One doesn't exactly know. But what we know for certain is that there were 3 hostels at that time. Each hostel was surrounded by a ring of gun-toting policemen, and then around the entire campus there was another ring of security. The arrangement we had made was that all the students who we thought are going to be arrested, we used to keep on changing the rooms in which they will sleep. And they'll be locked in, so that when the raid comes, they think nobody is inside. The person who will lock this person in will go into another room and he'll be locked there.
Okay.
And then the key would be with somebody else. So that is how we had worked it out. And we used to keep on changing. And it was only the person who was locking in somebody would know where he's spending the night. So as a result of this precaution, they failed in arresting most of those who they wanted. I was in charge of the entire operation, and I was the last to be locked in, and somebody who locked me in used to come from outside the campus.
Okay.
He would lock me in and he'll go back. That night he could not come back because he was in Delhi University and he got delayed, and he did not want to travel so late at night after especially emergency restrictions. So I went to my room where I had to sleep that night, and I was locked, and I went in and I went to sleep. This boy did not come, did not lock me in. So when the raid happened, they knocked at my door, I opened it, and there were these 2 constables. So, so I was one of those people who was taken in. Ramesh Dikshit, who was one of the founders of the Students' Union and our senior, he is also one of the authors of the Constitution of the JNU. He was also picked up. There was a counselor with me, Sujit Datta, he was picked up. And there was somebody who later got into the IFS, he was picked up. And M.L. Sondhi, who used to be an MP from New Delhi, had joined School of International Studies as a faculty. And when the emergency was declared, he quietly left Delhi and went to Chennai, Madras in those days. But his servant was there, his cook was there, and in the raid they arrested the cook of M.L. Sondhi. All of us were taken to the Khas police station, and there was this sub-inspector, whoever, who was sitting there with the list of people that they had to arrest. And the list was in Urdu. And I was standing next to him, and I just glanced at the list, and I said, "You got all the wrong people." And we made an example of the cook of M.L. Sondhi. I said, "Unke rasaiye ko kyun pakad ke le aaye ho?" And he was shivering, middle-aged man, plump, and he was the cook. He didn't know what was going on. So the sub-inspector, or whoever, what his designation was, he realized that they had made a blunder. So quite a lot of those who were initially rounded up were allowed to go back. There were students who had applied for admission in MA, and they were staying in the hostel waiting for their interview. They had picked them up. They were totally apolitical people. And somebody who later got into the IFS was also picked up, So they realized they made a mistake. Eventually, 13 or 14 of us were arrested and taken to Tihar jail. And we were charged with Defense of India 1969, Defense of India Rule 1969, no, not 69, 1969, DIR 69, which essentially was to be people who were conspiring to overthrow the state were to be arrested under that, and we were picked up under that charge. So, but there was a clause in DIR 69 that those who are arrested have to be presented before a magistrate within 15 days. So that kind of a thing doesn't happen now. Now you can pick up anybody and throw anybody for years and nothing will happen. So, and this is in a regime where the emergency has not been declared. So 15 days later we were brought to Parliament Street Court. There used to be a court there. And कोई जैन साहब थे, I forget his full name, who was the magistrate. And the entire, all the authorities of the university virtually came to the court. My guide, who was also the rector of the university, Professor Munis Raza, N.V.K. Murthy, very well-known filmmaker, who was by that time our registrar, he was there. Professor Mahale, full professor and dean, he was there, and faculty like this, and all of them told the magistrate that this entire case is false. And no meeting has taken place, there is no conspiracy, these are our students, we know them. And Professor Munis Raza said, Sohail lives in a hostel which is shouting distance from my house. If I call him loudly, he can hear me in my room. If a meeting was held, and according to you a public meeting, I would have known. Nothing of that sort had happened. So the magistrate bailed us out, gave us bail.
On what date, sir, this is?
This would be 15 days from 8th July. So,
23, 24.
Yeah, 22nd, 23rd. So we were bailed out. Next day we were released when all our bail papers were done and all that. I was delayed a day later, released a day later because there was some mistake in the names and address. So the case went on and it was finally quashed